Without further ado,
Woo!
we have House Call with Dr. Tanya George.
Yeah!
Y'all give it up for Dr. Tanya George. And the crowd goes wild. 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 All right. We're back.
Hi, family.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So next time we know where we for whatever reason the system is acting is clowning today. So
I know I got my phone there on the bottom. So I'm like peeking and seeing y'all down there on the phone, but on the screen here I can't see you
yeah,
all.
it's like I said, it's acting funny, but we got you here though. We got you here. You here. The peoples can see you. The public can see you, Dr. George. They can see you. So
Alrighty.
that's all that matters. You know what we look like anyway, so.
But I still wanted to see y'all.
Okay.
Aw.
Well, I guess you just have to look at us. You have to look at us through the phone.
She's
and,
looking
and
down at the phone.
Yeah, you gotta-
I'm looking at you now.
She's looking
Wow.
down at her phone.
Yeah, she
like,
looking
When
down at
you
the
see me
phone.
look down like that,
I know
you
she's looking at the
I'm
phone. I got yeah. Anyway, so what you got for us? What you got for us this evening?
Oh, today I'm talking about stress.
Yes.
Uh
Okay.
oh.
And the reason why I decided to talk about stress is because I have been stressed out.
Okay. Being on the
Oh.
front line, I guess you are.
I have been stressed out.
Yeah.
You just look at all the things that's going on in the world today, and with the racism being at the forefront now.
Yes.
I'm not going to say it's coming out, it's coming out is more apparent now.
Yes.
It's always existed, but, through technology, we're seeing it more prevalent now, even though, we all know it's been there.
Yes.
And then COVID. Just yesterday, I found out my best friend has it.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. So it's just the time is just very stressful. I'm like, we have all these different things going on in our lives
Yeah.
all the time. Personal challenges, just a lot of things going on. Some
Yeah.
people. But then when you add COVID, all of the things going on with the racial injustices,
Yes.
it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
And I've gotten to a point where I'm feeling it finally. At first, I wasn't really feeling it, but I'm feeling it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to talk about stress.
Okay.
A lot of people, you hear the word stress. Exactly what it means is when you have some physical, mental, or any kind of emotional factors that causes a state of physical or emotional strain or tension.
Okay.
Stress could be good and it could be bad. Sometimes when we're under stress, it can motivate us to like get a project done faster. It could motivate us to take care of different things that we may have been procrastinating about. It's bad when it starts to linger
Okay.
and your body starts to release different chemicals that then cause harm to your body. So that's when it starts becoming, okay, this is not good. You have different levels of stress. You can have acute stress. That's stress, for example, one day, one thing happens, but it only affects that one day, that one time period. You get over it and you move on. And it's kind of one of those things that you can talk about in the, later on.
Okay.
But then you can have episodic stress. You can have something happen and then it kind of lingers on, causing you to have a state of hyper arousal for a longer period of time, whether it be, weeks or months. Then you can have chronic stress where you have months to years. Examples of a chronic stressor is if you've had some sort of childhood abuse or childhood trauma that you're still living with and dealing with. Some people do experience things like, rape as children, abuse, physical abuse, those types of things that will cause you to have lingering state of hyperarousal. And when I use hyperarousal, it's just that state where you're acutely being affected by those stressors that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So, okay, what are the signs and symptoms of stress? Sometimes when you get stressed out, you can get angry. You can get real irritable. You can have anxiety. You can get depressed. You can even have somatic symptoms like chest pain. You can have stomach pain. Some people will have diarrhea. It can lead to like irritable bowel syndrome, where you have periods of constipation. You can have then periods of diarrhea, abdominal bloating and pain. These are different things that can happen just because you're stressed out. And sometimes you'll think, well, you know, something is wrong with me, or I have an illness that's causing these problems. Palpitations you can get, elevation in your blood pressure. And it can lead, when it's chronic, it can lead to a variety of different long-term medical illnesses, like heart attacks, hypertension, which is high blood pressure. Yeah. It can lead to even stroke. So we think that, okay, we have an issue. We're trying to deal with it. It's becoming harder to deal with it. It's no big deal. It's just our mental state, but it's actually affecting our body in just a wild way. I'm going to go through how your body is affected by stress, and it's a lot, but I'm going to try to summarize it in, you know, not too technical, but I have to use some of the words and different systems in the body in order to correctly explain what happens when your body is under that hyperarousable state. So typically when you have a stress and you have to get out of a situation, if it's acute, say you're walking across the street and you don't see a car, and then all of a sudden a car appears, it's that fight or flight. And you just get all the energy and run and jump backwards to avoid that danger. So when your body is undergoing that, what happens is your autonomic nervous system kicks in, your sympathetic system. You have your sympathetic and you have your parasympathetic. So your sympathetic system kicks in, and it's like the gas on the car, gas pedal. And what happens is you have your adrenal glands. It releases epinephrine. People hear adrenaline. I know y'all have heard of like adrenaline. It's synonymous with epinephrine. And what it is it's a hormone that's released when you're in that fight or flight state. So that gets released. And once that's released, then you have an increase in your heart rate. It causes increase in heart rate. It causes increase in blood pressure. It causes your respiratory rate to go up. It causes your lungs to be able to expand so that you can get more air and more oxygen in it. Your senses become more sharpened. And then you start having better, like a utilization of your sugar metabolism and your fat utilization, because your body needs energy in order to be able to fight whatever it is that's going on at that time. Say, God forbid, you were somewhere and a bunch of people came to try to attack you. You're going to try your best to get out of that situation. And you may have energy and strength that you didn't even think that you can have. You hear stories of people having, like, being under a car, working on a car and having the car drop on them, and then they lift the car up to get themselves out. That's all about that release of the hormone, that epinephrine, and this whole system that happens. So once that epinephrine is released, you also have a second stage of this called the HPA, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. I know it's a bit much, but I have to go through it to really explain. And it's a
Okay.
cascade of releasing different types of chemicals. So you have the adrenals, you have that adrenal axis. You have your hypothalamus. It then releases corticotropin releasing factor or hormones. Then that binds to receptors on the pituitary gland. And this is all in your brain. So you don't even know all of this stuff is happening like super fast when you have these incidents happen. Then after that happens, your pituitary gland then releases adrenal corticotropic hormone. Then the adrenal cortex releases cortisol. And that cortisol is the thing that can cause long-term damage. If you have that constant release of cortisol levels, those levels will cause your vessels to become damaged. It'll cause your arteries to become damaged. You can have a buildup of fat. You can have weight gain. You can have an increase in appetite. You can have increased storage of different nutrients to use as fat. You know, they'll have a storage because it's like, okay, what if something happens again? If something happens again, I'm going to need more energy. So it starts storing these nutrients as fat. And that's why some people, when they constantly stressed out, they'll start gaining weight because of those things. So it's real simple but complicated. But that pattern, it always happens the same way anytime you have stress. And it all, again, depends on what level of stress you have, whether it's, again, a short, transient, acute stress, whether it's, you know, the episodic that's longer, or if it's chronic. Now, y'all know I'm transparent. So
Okay.
Here we go.
I have chronic stress.
Oh, okay.
I have chronic stress. So, you know, there's some things that I have dealt with, and you deal with it acutely, you get over it. But there are still some things that I deal with chronically. And I always think of, what's his name, the singer? Is it Jonathan McReynolds? His song Cycles?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That song there, every time I hear it, it's just a constant reminder of me and how I go in these cycles with regards to not letting go some of these things that, you know, I still have challenges with. And I mean, we all have these different stressors. Is to what degree, and it's also to what you've experienced in your life.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
have experienced a lot of things in their lives. Some people are clueless and haven't really, you know, had bad things happen to them. I can't say that I'm one of them. I've had a lot of things happen to me and, you know, and to my family. And so over time, I've learned how to manage my stress, you know, but I do know people that are in my life that are not able to do that. One, I believe, because God is not at the forefront of their lives.
Amen.
I did not have God, it would be a wrap. I don't know how people manage in this day and time without God. I really, truly don't. All science aside and, you know, all of the medical stuff aside, like God is my foundation.
Amen.
And because he's my foundation, I'm able to function. I'm able to live my life and deal with the stressors that I have, even though I still have these stressors. They're not affecting me to a point where, you know, I can't really, you know, do my job, or where I can't, you know, take care of my family, my fur babies, my son. I'm still able to function. But
Amen.
I do know people in life that are not able to do that.
Amen.
And, you know, it really, really is important for people to have a foundation. Some people, you can have your foundation, have Christ at the center of your life, all aspects of your life, and you still may need help. I am all for people going in to get help. So if you find yourself being one of those individuals that have chronic stressors or even episodic stressors, and you cannot shake it and you cannot find the strength to get through it and to help yourself, you might need to see someone that can help you get through.
Okay.
I am all for people getting therapy. I know a lot of people of color don't believe in getting therapy.
True.
But it's like having somebody that's objective there to listen to you, even if it's just to just talk. That someone there is, can objectively give you that lending ear or give you information for you to reinforce positive thinking.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. It's not I don't think it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's all about your perspective and
Right.
whether or not you have a positive attitude. Me 20 years ago is a lot different. 20 years ago, I was a different beast, just a different person. Because I didn't have the strong foundation that I have now. We're all growing. Yeah. We're all overcoming and becoming better people, hopefully. Hopefully, we're all growing. So as we grow and we grow in Christ, then we can grow understanding that there are things that we cannot change.
Amen.
Those things that we cannot change, like the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Some things you can't change. So those things that you cannot change, just leave it. Leave it to God. Let it be, because what are you going to do? You're going to keep driving yourself more and more, I hate using that crazy word or whatever, but you'll stress yourself out even more. If you cannot change it, just let it go and try to accept it and accept the fact that God has that. God has all of it anyway. But you sitting up worrying about certain things that you cannot change is not going to be helpful one bit.
That's true.
The things that you can change, though, those are the things that you should focus on.
Yeah.
So if you know that you can't stand your job and you are qualified
Don't you start.
to get another job.
I'm finna mute
It's
you
not
right
that
there.
I can't stand the
I'm
job.
gonna mute you right.
What I do.
I'm gonna mute you right
other
now.
things that are involved,
We-
other factors.
We don't have that kind of time.
No, we don't.
We don't have that kind of time.
So if there are things that you can change, try to focus on those things and change those. Also, we all have things that we can say are gifts. God's given us all gifts, talents that we have, interests that we have, hobbies. I know that when I focus on those things, I kind of zone out and I go into a different world. Y'all know I love making candles. I love writing. So whenever I'm doing those things and I'm writing, whether it's writing my little children's books or writing poetry or whatever, when I am doing those things, I go into a happy place. So I encourage everyone to go into their happy place and do those things that make them happy, as long as it's pleasing to God, to go and do those things, whatever your interest may be, and focus on that. Relaxation techniques. You need me time every day. Every day. I don't care how many kids you have, how demanding your husband or your wife may be, what you have going on. Everybody needs at least good 20, 30 minutes a day to just do them. And just, if it's just sitting back and staring at a wall, just doing nothing. Everyone needs me time, a bubble bath, just a walk, with your mask on, hopefully, a walk down the street, go to the park, with your mask on and get fresh air, just some me time to just relax, get your mind focused on things that make you happy and not focus on those stressors that you have in your life. Also, exercise. Exercise is a huge activity to combat stress. So it's currently recommended to do 30 minutes of moderate level activity or exercise at least 5 days a week. That is what's recommended by most of those organizations. Is so many, the organizations that promote health. 30 minutes, at least 5 days a week. If you start working out, and again, I always tell people, this is my disclaimer, don't just go start doing all these different physical activities without consulting your primary care doctor, because if you've not worked out in 10 years, don't think you can just go and start lifting weights and, wind up hurting yourself. So clear it by your doctor, but 30 minutes of activity. If you're not doing any kind of activity at all, walking is always a start.
Yes.
As long as you don't have anything wrong with your legs, walking is always a start. Riding a stationary bicycle is even better, in my opinion, because it doesn't put the weight on your joints. It protects your joints. Whatever you can do to start increasing your activity, your mind will be shifted as you're working out, and you will have a betterment in lowering of all these cortisol levels that are damaging you. It will shift you away from those chemical cascades that I mentioned earlier. So the goal is you want to keep your cortisol levels at a normal, stable level. If you're constantly being stressed out, your cortisol levels are high all the time. As we get older, those cortisol levels are higher anyway. Like younger women, theirs are lower. But you don't want that constant flow and release of cortisol within your body, because then it will start causing all of that damage over time.
Cortisol. So the release of cortisol, that's I guess too much. That can have adverse effects on your body.
Oh yes.
How
Too
so?
much of if you have constant release of cortisol levels, because you're constantly stressed out.
Oh, okay, okay, I got you. Okay, I got you. Oh, I didn't know stress would cause the release of cortisone like that. So, what since you brought that up, what are adverse effects to too much of?
What are some of the symptoms? What would happen if that was to take place?
If you had that constant release of cortisol,
Yeah.
like I said, over time, you can have damage to your arteries. You can have damage to your vessels in your body. It can lead to hypertension, which is high blood pressure.
Yes.
When you have that epinephrine being released all the time, and then you have the cortisol being released all the time, remember the epinephrine, it causes that fight or flight, where you have high respiratory rate, you have high blood pressure, high heart rate. It's because it pumps you up. You ever see, I don't know if you ever have gotten into a fight or, some kind of crazy hectic situation, and your heart is palpitating, and you just get this burst of energy. And that's because of the epinephrine. And then eventually after that epinephrine has been released, then you have that whole cascade of all of those different hormones, and the tail end of it is the release of the cortisol.
Oh, okay.
So, and if you have chronic stress, you're constantly releasing cortisol. So your cortisol levels may be elevated all the time.
Oh.
And the problem is when you have chronic stress,
Yes.
it's embedded in your mind, in your body. It's embedded in your thoughts. So even if you're in a situation where things are like good, and you have somebody there. Say you're there with someone else. Say, LaVon, me and you, we go out and we're there, and I'm like, oh, did you see how that person looked at me? I don't like how she looked at me. And you were looking at the same person, and the same person wasn't looking at me funny. It's like you have it permanently embedded in your mind, in your whole body, your cognition. It's like hardwiring when you have constant negative thoughts all the time.
Okay.
So when you're like that, your perception is so off. Even when situations are, quote unquote, normal, you're still perceiving it as a stressful situation. So then you're constantly increase, having those increase of cortisol levels. That's why sometimes you can see you'll hear people say, oh, this person was young and then, they passed out and had a heart attack, and oh, they were stressed out, and there's truth to that. There's truth to that. Stress can kill you. It can kill you. So stress is linked to 6 leading causes of death. It is linked to 6 leading causes of death. It is linked to suicide. It's linked to accidents. It is linked to, I'm trying to remember all of them. It's linked to lung ailments, like lung disease.
Really?
It's linked to cancer. It's linked to heart disease. And also cirrhosis of the liver.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's no joke.
Yeah.
So we really have to, and when I say we, I'm at the forefront of we really have to be cognizant of the things we allow to affect us. And I am such a culprit. I am such a culprit. Like I said, 20, 30 years ago, it was a norm for me to just constantly everything sucks. Everything, the world is just bad. That's just how it was because of the things that I've experienced in my life. And I just didn't really know how to process it. So I just focused on the negative. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to compartmentalize things. Some things that I still don't understand. Y'all know about them.
Yes.
Because I go to y'all,
Yeah.
go to them all the time. I'm like, oh, I have a problem. So I do go to them. Everybody need people. That's another thing. Everyone need someone. You need to have people in your life, like a support system people that you can talk to, you can lean on. We're not supposed to do life alone. We're not supposed to be going through a whole bunch of things without having anyone in our lives.
Amen.
That is true.
It's a blessing when you have a partner, if you're married. For me, I'm single. So many times I'm sitting up and I'm having whatever issue and I'm like, okay, who am I going to talk to? Can't talk to the fur babies too much because they're not going to respond. So, LaVon, Albert, they're my frequent go-to, as well as two cousins of mine that I will call. But you can't go through life just thinking you can do it alone. You need God first, but you do need people here that you can lean on.
He set that up.
But some people need therapists.
Beyond.
Some people need therapists.
Albert.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting professional help and, going to see a therapist. There's nothing wrong with that. So I highly encourage people to, if you're struggling and you have a lot of things going on, to do that, make that first step. And now they have a lot of avenues where you can get therapy, even just like how we're Skyping. You can get therapy on the computer where, you don't even have to leave your house.
Right.
So that is an option. Sleep is so important. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of high levels of stress is insomnia.
Ooh.
Um,
Yes, Levon.
Yes.
Levon. Lady Levon. First Lady Levon.
Yes.
What other titles you want to have? Okay.
Ooh.
This segment is this portion is for you.
Here we go.
Continue on, Dr. George.
yeah. Insomnia, and I mean, I suffer with it as well, and have suffered with it for years.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I could fall asleep, but I don't stay asleep.
Yeah,
it
there you
takes
go.
a lot for me to stay asleep. I usually sleep 2 to 3 hours, and then I wake up, and then I go back to sleep
Yeah.
another couple of hours, and that's my night. How it usually is, unless I'm dead tired and I knock out, and I might get away with 6 to 8 hours, which is unusual. But as adults, we're supposed to be getting at least 8 hours of sleep every night. And there's no such thing as catching up on your sleep.
Right.
Say that again,
You
Doctor.
can't catch up on your sleep.
Okay, you can't catch up on your
Can't
sleep.
catch up on your sleep.
All
You're
right.
staying there for a reason.
All right, yes.
You need your 8 hours every day. Your body needs time to regenerate. It needs time to rest.
Yes.
So if you're constantly going and you're stressed out, your mind is racing,
There
and
you go.
you
Your
are
mind
thinking
does-
about all these
yes.
negative things,
The mind doesn't shut
allowing
down.
the environment and people to stress you out all day long, and you're not getting sleep. At least when you sleep, your mind is not racing, giving your body time to just relax and regroup and get back to some sort of normal state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need your 8 hours. What else? What didn't I cover?
Just make sure you-
Relaxation, exercise, your hobbies, sleep, work. I hope everybody has a job that they love. You know, that's important because we spend so many hours at work. Most people spend at least 8 hours, 5 days a week at work.
Yeah.
So have a job that's not stressing you out.
Would be
Because
helpful and
that's a
beneficial.
huge factor in people's lives, being stressed out at work or having a job that is stressful.
Yes.
Things have gotten stressful for me in many aspects at work,
Yeah.
not just because of COVID and the surge in cases, because we do have a surge of cases inside the hospital. I am still grateful that I am in a subspecialty, so we have not had any of our patients with it, but within the hospital, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of cases of COVID right now because the numbers are going back up.
Okay, I
Just
hope y'all
like
hear
I
that.
said on the podcast before about COVID and how I thought it was going to increase and we would have a second surge.
Tell
Yeah.
us about that. You're on a podcast with whom, and at what time can we tune in to hear you about that?
Oh my God.
Yeah, give it a little plug there. Yeah, come on. You can do it. You can do it. It's okay. You're amongst
I
family.
don't know what you're talking about.
You're amongst family. You can do it. You can plug in your little podcast you have going on. You know with where. Or the one you just did.
The one that I did.
Yeah.
That one that I did. I don't think it's even up and available.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
Yeah, I think the church is still,
In debate about
it
it.
has to go through channels. It has to go through people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
So
going to let you
I
get
did
your
a
little plug
I
in.
did a podcast, a webinar actually, and it was, I think how many hours? We were on there for a while because people had a lot of questions about COVID.
Yes.
But it was a webinar about COVID that I did last month for Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship.
Yay.
But I don't think it's up yet.
Yes,
They
yeah.
are, yeah. So if it does come up, I will definitely let you know.
Cool.
But it did address a lot of the different questions that people had.
Yeah, you got a lot of
post-COVID.
questions that day.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
you
of the
did.
questions, it extended the webinar. The webinar was supposed to be for an
Hour,
hour.
it
and that
was.
was including questions and answers.
Yes.
And it wound up being about almost 3 hours because of the amount of questions that people had.
And you did an awesome job with being transparent and, as well as giving your medical information. It was really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really was.
it doesn't, to me, it doesn't benefit anyone not being transparent. If anybody is, I don't care. It's just like you said,
That's
Albert. I don't care what degree you have, what PhD, whatever, what money you make. We all have issues.
Yeah.
We all have issues.
Yeah.
We all have medical problems. We all have some types of emotional or mental challenges that we have.
Personal problems, financial problems.
That's without.
Yeah. If there's anybody in our listening audience, whether you be on Facebook Live or what have you, and you have some questions, please feel free to let us know. You can type them out on Facebook Live on the webpage, Walk the Talk Ministries. Real quick, because we only have a few more minutes, 214-431-5032. And let
Shamika
us know.
don't count.
Shamika talking about some grandpappy got issues.
No, she's talking about it's my issue. That don't count.
Grandpappy is her issue. Oh,
what
Lord.
did she say?
A young lady named Shamika that we know, family friend.
She don't count though,
She
so
said
don't worry
that
about it.
grandpappy here is her issue. What can she do to
She needs medication.
help her out with grandpappy?
She needs medication.
She's laughing.
She needs a psychologist as well as a psychiatrist.
God, Doug. Oh my goodness.
She needs a white jacket.
No. But I have to say, every time we talk, you are so informative, and sometimes we have to get you to break down them words. What does that mean? What does that mean?
And I hope I didn't kill people with but I mean, these are parts of our body that, that we have. We have different parts in our body. When I started talking about all the adrenal gland and all of that stuff, that the cortisol, how it's talking about the cortisol level, that adrenal gland, it sits on the top of your kidneys.
Ooh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Oh.
So just kind of give you a perspective of where it's set in your body. And then remember I said the pituitary gland, that's within your head, like in your brain.
Right.
So
as well as your hypothalamus.
So then that particular gland that sits over your kidneys, you say?
Yeah, it sits right on the top.
Cortisol.
That's like acid being released, so to speak. Would it be considered like acid? No.
Cortisol is a hormone.
Hormone. Okay.
It's a hormone.
Okay. But that's a dangerous hormone.
Remember I mentioned epinephrine being released?
Uh-huh.
Right. The adrenal gland also releases that epinephrine.
Okay.
I'm not studying you.
So I know it's a lot of biology stuff, but it's
necessary.
It's necessary to understand that, all of these things, our bodies are so complex, but yet so simple.
Yeah.
And the simple thing is you have a problem, you have a stressor, it's going to affect you emotionally and physically.
Yeah.
Don't let it.
As much as possible. Yeah, like the Word of God said.
Don't let it.
As much as possible, be at peace.
Those people that may have had.
Like the Word of God says, as much as possible, be at peace. As much as possible. Yeah.
Shamika won't let me be at peace.
We got people clowning. We got people
clowning. If there's anybody in a listening audience, either on Fishbowl Radio Network or on Facebook, that would like Dr. George, or would have a topic where they would like for Dr. George to address, message us or inbox us or email us. You can email us at walkthetalkministries18@gmail.com. That's walkthetalkministries@gmail.com. Or you can message us on off of Facebook. If anybody would like to partner with us in prayer, if you have prayer requests, same way, hit messages on Facebook or via our email. And if you would like to partner with us in making monetary donations, you can do so either through PayPal, and on the PayPal we are Walk the Talk Ministry, or Cash App, which is $Walk the Talk 18. That is on the PayPal is Walk the Talk Ministry, And on the Cash App is $ Walk the Talk 18. Dr. George, I'm gonna need you to prescribe some medication for somebody to give me the strongest thing.
Lord. Oh my
give me the
God.
strongest thing that you can prescribe for crazy, because I got one.
Oh man, she done put something out here called
I got one.
grandpappy.com.
I have one.
So, Dr. George, give us your information of how people can reach you if they want to reach out to you personally.
Yeah.
Oh,
If they want to do that.
My business is called Nooniland. It's
Nooniland.
spelled NOONIELAND. My website should be up soon, and I know I keep saying that, but I am trying to work on it so that it is to my liking and before I release it and open it up to the public.
I understand that.
So that is an option that will be available in about a week or so. I am on Instagram, and it's at Nooniland LLC. I'm also on Facebook, Nooniland. So I'm on all social media. I use Instagram the most, but I am also on Facebook a bit. But I do use Instagram the most.
Okay.
So if you wanted to DM me on Instagram, I definitely check that and respond.
All
And
right.
once the website is up, I have some things that I have going on. I do have a book that's about to come out, a children's book.
Yeah, see?
It's called Beyond the Clouds. It's for little toddlers, and it's all about Jesus.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's your,
Uh-huh.
Oh, you should be able to read that, Shamika.
Oh, he messing with Shamika.
The book is for toddlers.
Oh, God.
Wow, a book just for your class. Thought I'd get you.
Oh, but it is I like writing poetry, so it's a rhyming picture book,
Yeah.
and it is about the omnipresence of God and how God is everywhere and God is with us. I like to introduce God and Jesus into the younger children's lives early. So
Yes, 'cause they sure
that's the
need
first
it.
of my books that will be coming out, and I do have a second one that's in the process of being illustrated. So I have multiple things going on with Nooniland.
All right, all right. So
Uh,
thank you, Dr. George.
We appreciate you as always coming on and giving us
Appreciate you.
a lot of great information that people can use and need, especially in this time. But
Yeah, it's rough right now.
yeah, it is. So, but we have actually come to the end of another episode of another chapter of Walk the Talk Ministries. We hope you've been blessed. We hope you've enjoyed. Y'all stay healthy, stay blessed.
Yeah. Find peace.
Find peace. Find peace. Find God.
Absolutely. You find God, you'll find peace.
Yeah, you find God, you
Yeah.
you find everything else.
Amen to that.
So, but we have to get up out of here, y'all. Again, we've enjoyed you all. I'm not studying Shamika Anderson.
Shamika is killing him right now.
Yeah. No, I already got her. But we'll see. But we finna get up out of here, y'all. Until then, stay thirsty, my friends. And remember, what is your exit strategy? Until then, we'll see you all next week. Y'all be blessed. Thank you, Dr. George. We'll see you.